Good evening. This is Duane Lowry for the DPP Grain Desk on Sunday, July 7th. It's currently about 5:30. First of all, thanks to everyone who signed up for the DPP mobile app during the last week. We do have a winner of the GoPro Silver camera, and I will be announcing that winner here a little bit later in the broadcast. First of all, let's talk about the outlook for tonight. From a short-term perspective, the outlook is going to be for some weakness tonight. That's kind of a default setting when you've got the trade in a trend, in a very heavily weighted to one side or the other type of sentiment during a growing season here. So you come in Sunday night, you expect the market to open in the direction of that sentiment, in the direction of that recent trend. And then you look to find out if there are any new inputs to cause that not to be the case. When we look at the weather forecast tonight, it's relatively benign, non-threatening. I think most people will look at it as being favorable or acceptable. I think there are a few weather forecasts out there starting to throw some heat into the areas of the western Midwest. There are also some parts of the western Midwest, specifically the southwestern part of the Midwest, that will likely develop dryness stress and concerns during the next 2 weeks. If those dryness areas in the southwestern part of the Midwest expand to encompassing more of the western Midwest, and especially those areas that were under excessive moisture problems, if they start to miss some rains here in the next 5 to 7 days that they're currently expected to get, I think you'll see concerns begin to quickly elevate. And part of that is due to the fact that those areas that suffered from extreme moisture concerns and problems, those crops are very weakened, very poor root structure. We lost a lot of nutrients, and you can't go very many days without those areas suffering from dryness. It's not the same type of a healthy plant that can handle lots of stress and an extended period of dryness in a normal year. These types of excessive moisture crop problems that develop early in the growing season tend to haunt you all year long, and it requires a very timely and continual watering to compensate for the loss of root structure that occurred because of the excessive moisture problems earlier. So there are some reasons to be cautious and some things on the horizon to be looking at with some level of concern, but most in the marketplace are still focused on the idea that we're going to have a 2 billion carryout, etc. in corn, and I think there's a risk that they're getting too bearish and too confident. We still have a large amount of the growing season ahead, a very significant part of the growing season ahead, and we do not have a robust crop in too many areas of the western Midwest, especially the parts of like the northern third of Iowa, parts of southern Minnesota. Those areas have suffered significantly, and it's a large enough area that I think it is worth noting from a national perspective. These areas that suffered in parts of the western Midwest, you're not talking about losing a few bushels an acre of production potential. You're talking about double-digit bushel yield loss potential already, and it could easily develop into a very significant loss if you can't maintain these type of timely moisture events in those stressed plants. So the forecast does not offer a significant concern, but I think there's points of interest there, and it's very possible that the trade is getting too bearish, leaning too heavily on what they perceive to be a certain new crop carryout of 2 billion or more. There are a lot of people confidently talking about 160 or higher national yields. I wouldn't say it's not possible. It is possible, but everything's going to have to work out just right in order to make that happen, and we still got a long part of the growing season still ahead of us. Technical conditions were very oversold. The corn market's been down all but one day of the last 11 trading sessions. Oversold conditions are developing. If this is the type of situation, we could come in here on a Sunday night, have everybody kind of bared up, default setting, open lower, but then find that there's no momentum. There's no new additional selling energy. I think there's a good chance that's what we're going to find, but we'll have to wait and see. So let's look for a little bit weaker tonight, but I question the ability to build downside momentum. The global wheat trade is starting to pick up. The U.S. wheat harvest is approaching the percentage of completion that typically indicates the end of selling pressure in the futures market, and has often led to a notable recovery effort You got the soybean market, which is a lot different than the corn. Traders are confidently bearish corn. I don't know if that's necessarily true about beans. I think there's greater respect for adversity in the rest of the growing season in beans. There's greater respect for the idea that it doesn't take much of a crop threat to get the carry-out levels in beans back down to something that's much less burdensome, much less abundant, and the trade has already factored in a pretty optimistic soybean yield. So I think the outlook there is a little bit different. The corn is the downside leader. If that market loses momentum, which I think there's a good chance it loses momentum here this week, then I think everything has a chance to stabilize and experience some sort of recovery. Going back to our GoPro silver camera giveaway, Farms Technology, we would like to thank all the participants in their DPP mobile app giveaway. Farms Technology would like to remind everyone that the DPP mobile app is there for you when you are on the go and need to stay connected. I'm excited to announce the winner of the GoPro silver camera. That winner of the camera is Bill Watts of Marathon, Iowa. Congratulations to you, Bill, on winning the DPP mobile app giveaway, and Brad from the DPP Grain Desk will be getting in touch with you tomorrow. That's it for tonight. Look for a weaker start. Don't be surprised if we lose some downside momentum. Don't be surprised if the markets are able to reject this early weakness as the week unfolds. For the DPP Grain Desk, this has been Duane Lowry. Thank you.